So there's principles of behaviorism that have helped us get to where we are today technologically.
We could see that, but I would say that the soul is more using the mind as a tool to broaden its communication, I suppose. I don't know.
So the question is that the same thing? Is the recognition of the emotion the understanding of this unconscious battle? Is that the same thing? Or is just being able to recognize emotions within us and then in that recognition of the emotions themselves that we're able to control them? Is there a difference there?
We're in the mythological world here, so.
Welcome, contestants, one more time. This to Dragon Slayers. Here it is, Dena and Chris here to battle against each other and against the dragon for one more episode of Dragon Slayers. So here we go. I welcome you, folks, to Game 4, Intro to Psychology, Part 1. And so here we go.
There you go.
We're going to spin the roulette and see who lands. All right, Dena, congratulations. You are going first. And with that, you get to pick between these 5 different topics: structuralism, functionalism, psychoanalysis, behaviorism, or psychometrics. Which one would you like to go for?
Psychoanalysis.
Psychoanalysis it is, absolutely. And the question is, who is considered to be the father of psychoanalysis and what is this psychological principle about? William James is the father of psychoanalysis, which aims to understand the mind as a plethora of instincts that can be analyzed through the talking cure. B. Sigmund Freud is the father of psychoanalysis, which aims to understand the mind as a dynamic and conscious battle between drives. Freud's model in particular is started with Eros and Thanatos. C. Carl Jung is the father of psychoanalysis, which aims to understand the mind as a dynamic battle between unconscious drives, which are characterized as archetypes. Or D. Fechner is the father of psychoanalysis, which aims to analyze the mind and its proclivity to have noticeable differences between the different drives that take control over it.
I'm gonna say B.
B. Freud. Would you like to look in this answer?
Would I like to what?
Would you like to lock it in? Are you absolutely sure? Absolutely. We're going to go with B. And the answer is correct, Dena. Very, very good. You got +3 points, starting strong. Very, very good. And with that, Chris, we head over to you. Which one are you going to pick next? The structuralism, functionalism, behaviorism, or psychometrics?
I'll go with behaviorism.
Behaviorism it is, good sir. And so the question is, who is considered to be the father of behaviorism and what is this psychological principle about? A. Sigmund Freud is the father of behaviorism, which aims to analyze the behavior of a subject by analyzing their dreams. B. Kurt Lewin is the father of behaviorism, which aims to understand the different behaviors people engage in socially. C. William James is the father of behaviorism, which aims to understand the behaviors people engage in as a function of their environment and their interaction with people, as well as reward reinforcement people engage in socially. Or D. Ivan Pavlov is the father of behaviorism, which aims to understand the power of reward reinforcement to shape the behavior of a subject.
I think it's D. I'm gonna go with D. Ivan Pavlov.
Absolutely. Are you absolutely sure, sir?
I'm not absolutely sure, but that's what I'm gonna lock in.
Absolutely, we're looking in D, and the answer is Correct! Ivan Pavlov, absolutely. He was, if I'm not mistaken, the one who, Pavlov's dog was the very first dog that was trained through the principles of behaviorism that proved the theory. And then from there, Skinner picks it up, and then he has like these different experiments with the Skinner box. Absolutely. And so with that, Chris, plus 3 points. And we head over again to Dena. We got structuralism, functionalism, and psychometrics. Which one would you like to go?
I feel like I know nothing looking at these. I'm gonna go with psychometrics.
Psychometrics it is, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the question is, which psychometric test is the most powerful predictor of well-being in life? A. Measures of G, usually measured through IQ testing. B. Ocean Big Five personality test, which give insight to the test takers on how to improve their personality traits. C. Skinner box resistance test, which gives us a measure of how well the patients are being conditioned to the behavioral intervention. Or D. TP, the 10-item personality inventory, which provide accessibility while remaining a powerful predictor of behavior.
Oh. Which psychometric test is most? Oh, it's a toss-up. Oh.
It's a little bit of a tricky one, this one for sure.
It is, because there's two that I'm like, oh, maybe. I'm gonna go with B, the Big Five. Ocean.
B, the Big Five. Are you absolutely certain that you want to look in this answer?
No, but I'm going to.
Absolutely, Dena, no problem. And we're looking in B. And the answer is... Oh no, Dena!
I know what the answer
so
is
sorry.
now.
Absolutely, but then don't say it just yet, because Chris might have a chance to steal the question as well if you know the answer, unless you want to grant him the plus 3 points, of course. And with that, Chris, which one would you like to choose? Would you like to go again for psychometrics or pick structuralism and functionalism?
Well, I'll go with psychometrics.
Absolutely, psychometrics it is. And the question is exactly the same one. I will give you some time for you to read it through and think it through if you want.
I don't think I'll need it. I'm going to go with A.
A, absolutely. Are you absolutely certain that you want to look in this answer?
Yes.
Okay, good sir. And the answer is... correct, good sir. G, the measure of general intelligence, is actually one of the best predictors of well-being in life. It's actually one of the best predictors in general for how well you're going to do in most things across different, would you say, fields or areas in your life. It's a very, very devastating find that we have been able to find in the last century or so. But it's nevertheless very, very powerful. With that, Dena, we're going with you. Are you picking structuralism or functionalism?
Functionalism.
Functionalism it is. And so, the question is, who is considered to be the father of functionalism, and what is this psychological principle about? A. Ivan Pavlov is the father of functionalism, which aims to set up functional roles in the mind by using incentives, thus creating the possibility for a functional self. B. Fechner is the father of functionalism, which aims to recognize the noticeable differences between one function of the brain versus another and how it relates to the dynamic mind. C. William James is the father of functionalism, which aims to understand the mind as a function of its environment. In other words, the mind helps us adjust to our surroundings. Or D. René Descartes is the father of functionalism. While not a psychologist, his philosophy laid out the groundwork for understanding the differentiation that exists between the body and the mind and their functions independent from each other.
I have no idea. Like, how did I miss this? Oh. Oh, man. You got me there.
It's okay. Take your time. You can, like read through them. Maybe even discard a few if you so need to, like from the other questions that we have already reviewed.
Why am I'm like drawing a complete blank? I'm gonna say D. I'm very unsure.
D. Rene Descartes. Are you looking
I'll
in
lock
D?
it in. I'll lock it in
Yes.
with D, yes.
Absolutely, Dena. We're gonna try D, and the answer is. I'm so sorry, Dena. I'm so
Chris
sorry.
is like, yes, I'm glad I came.
Absolutely, Dena. It's I'll tell you in a little bit to see if, like, Chris, maybe you will be able to get this one right. But which one would you like to go for, good sir? Structuralism or functionalism?
I'll go for the
It's like-
functionalism because I think I know what the answer is.
Absolutely, sir. Who is considered to? Oh, okay. You know that the question.
Yeah.
I will give you some time to read through it if you want again. then you can pick it up.
So I'm gonna go with C. William James.
Absolutely, good sir. You want to lock that answer in?
Yep.
Okay, we're going with C. William James, and the answer is correct. Good sir. Yes, sir. William James is the father of functionalism. He actually
Did everything.
Yeah, he did a bunch of
Was-
stuff.
He did,
He did a bunch of stuff. Yes, absolutely. He's one of those characters that
functioned.
absolutely. Yeah, it's almost involved in almost everything: philosophy, psychology, you name it. But yeah, functionalism is a very interesting strand of psychology, which tries to understand behaviors in terms of functions, and also like the mind in terms of like what is its function towards the human development. And so with that, we have structuralism, and we're going with Dena.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. And the question is, who is considered to be the father of structuralism, and what is this psychological principle about? Wilhelm Wundt is the father of the structuralism, which aims to break down the mind into structures that can be studied in isolation by boiling them down to their most basic elements. B. William James is the father of structuralism, which aims to set up structures characterized by systems that prohibit functionality. C. Ivan Pavlov is the father of structuralism, which aims to create the structures of incentive rewards to the mind in order to understand and predict it. Or D. Kurt Lewin is the father of structuralism, which aims to understand the mind as structures that can be studied by comparing them to other structures developed by other humans.
A. Wilhelm Wundt.
Absolutely. Are we looking in A. Wilhelm Wundt?
Yes.
The answer is Dena. Correct! Absolutely! Wilhelm Wundt, the father of structuralism, one of the first physiologists to start combining psychology, philosophy, and physiology, in other words, medicine and the anatomy of the brain, to try to understand the mind as breaking the brain apart in different structures and try to understand it from that point of view. Well, to the second portion of the game, it's time for some scaring. So here you come to Dragon, folks. We got 3 wonderful topics which you are able to pick from. Dena is going to have the privilege of going first because Chris is on the lead.
I'm going to say functionalism.
Functionalism. Just to confirm, is the music a little bit better there?
I think maybe.
Yeah. Okay. We'll give this a try. You said functionalism, Dena?
Yes.
Okay. Here we go. We're going with functionalism. And the question is, there is no real distinction between mind and soul. Functionalism is indirectly trying to arrive at the mechanism by which the soul evolves and self-actualizes through its interaction with the external world. Would you like to go for or against this statement?
Would I like to go for what?
So you get to this is a statement that we have right here. You get to either defend it or reject it. And whatever you pick, whether defend or reject, you have to build an argument for whatever of the two options you want. And then the dragon will assume the opposite side.
I will defend.
You will defend this statement, absolutely. And with that, I'm going just grant me a minute. I'm just going to call in the dragon. 1 second.
Oi. It's coming for me. Oh man, he really is. How am I going to defend this?
All right, Dena, here we go. Show me what you got. Do you agree with this statement, or do you?
I don't.
Means it might be easier for you to reject the message rather than defend it.
I know, I said that, and I'm like, well, I don't believe it, so.
Absolutely. So why would you say that the mind would not be equivalent to the soul?
No. No. Because I think they're separate.
You think that they're separate, I see. Do you think that there's such a thing as a soul?
I do, yes. I believe that it's a deeper, maybe unconscious part of us, and the mind is a more conscious version of that.
I see. So the mind is kind of like, from the William James perspective as well, like it serves just the function of allowing us to be conscious, but the soul is something that encompasses something even larger than the mind. Is that what I am understanding correctly from your perspective?
I would say yes. I would say it's a deeper part of us that, yeah.
I see.
Like the core.
In which sense, like, would you say that the soul differs from the mind? Like, when I think about myself, when I think like I am a being in the world, I also think that that is in some way in which I am defining myself as a soul that not necessarily is just this body, but something that it has an essence, so to speak. And so when I think about it in that sense, then I could almost say like, well, perhaps the mind, it's like very much the same thing, because it allows me to think what I am and reflect upon myself. Wouldn't you say that is a fair conceptualization of why mind and soul could be almost the same thing?
We could see that, but I would say that the soul is more using the mind as a tool to broaden its communication, I suppose. I don't know. Because our mind it's constantly, its gears moving, its work, its things, and your soul is just you. It's just a deeper part of you that, yeah.
I see. And so by that same token, would you say that if there are two different, completely separate things, how does my mind differ from my soul then? Like, how can I, would you say that the mind then, for some reason, it sort of dims down or stops existing after I pass away, but then my soul continues to transcend and continues to be everlasting after that? Is that what I am understanding correctly about your point of view?
Oh. I mean, that's a huge question. That's possibly. There's no way that I could actually know that, but I suppose if they are separate beings, that's a possibility. But maybe they die separately. I don't know. Maybe they see them utilizing each other.
I see. Well, how about this? When William James wrote a book called The Varieties of Religious Experience. In that book, he sort of lays out different arguments for why religion is, so to speak, an interesting psychological phenomena that is worth studying. And he analyzed different attitudes of the religious person, like the person that has, for example, healthy mindedness, he called it, which would be somebody that it lives in a constant state of grace, being happy and grateful about the world, and not dwelling too much on, say, inner mistakes and things like that. But then he also pointed out that this type of, even though like it resembles a very healthy mind, when you engage too much in such a type of mind rhetoric, you can fall into not being able to recognize mistakes and continue to make the same mistakes, but don't really think too much to be able to work to transcending it. But then on the other side of the argument, he also points out other people that are like, he calls unhealthy mindedness, which is people that are constantly in this attitude of what would you say, flagellation, or like feeling very self-conscious about themselves because of not being able to perform in the way that they are called to perform by their religion. But what he found is like the appropriate type of a stance that was like actually good for the healthy mind is to have somewhere in between, where you are able to, even though you make mistakes, to stand back up and continue to walk, but also notice your mistakes and repent for them. And so in that sense, like, wouldn't you say that when we have these different psychological states of mind, when I feel positive emotion or negative emotion towards different things that I engage with in the world, and then outcomes happen out of them, that that is actually my soul interacting with the world and telling me how to feel, to be able to learn from the experience. And so by that same way, continue to walk in this pilgrimage towards self-transcendence. Wouldn't you say that that is a appropriate analysis of why we could perhaps conceive of the soul as the same thing as the mind?
Possibly, but I'm here to slay a dragon, so I don't think so. So I would say that the soul as a being per se, I guess, we, all these things out in the world, that are presented in front of us, and our mind is just a communication, like it's speaking to us, and like, are we going to listen to that, or are we going to try to shift it and change it? So we can have outcomes we need, so we can interact appropriately through the world, and we can make changes within us. I don't know if...
I see. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm understanding about your argument is that you're trying to say the mind is, while it's a useful tool that the soul has to be able to continue to move forward, is not the same thing. They're two separate things, and that the soul is something that continues to transcend and is persistent through time, even after our natural death. But the mind is something that stays with the body, and is something that the soul utilizes to be able to communicate with us. Is that what I am understanding correctly about how you're conceiving your argument?
Yeah.
Interesting. That was very good. Very good. Indeed. I think you got me this time, but I'm gonna get you the next time for sure. Rah. All right, folks, we're back. And that was very good, Dena. So with that, Chris, tell me, how would you rate Dena's performance this time?
Scale 1 to 5. I think I'd give her a 3. I'll give her a 3. I think
Absolutely.
Thank you for the more than I feel like I deserved on that.
I gotta be a nice person. I mean, this is my first time
Thank
here.
you.
Absolutely, Chris. Thank you very much for that rating. But now, Dena, tell me, how would you rate yourself?
Oh, I would say 1, but I'm gonna go 2 because you were very helpful. So
Absolutely. 2
I'm
points.
rating me
Absolutely.
because you were helpful. But I did better.
No worries at all. You did very good. You did very well. I think, as you continue to progress in the tournament, I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to gather more confidence and like continue to strengthen your arguments against the dragon. No worries at all. This is wonderful. But then with that, we're going to go back to some sparring. Chris,
Right.
you get to pick. Which
Yes, Chris.
topic would you like to pick? You can pick the same one or a different one, it doesn't matter, but each one of you get 2 picks. You can, if you have a different approach to debating the same thing, now that you know the statement, you can pick that one, or you can go with something new and try your luck and your abilities as well in any of the other topics. How would you like to go?
Okay. I think I'm gonna go. We'll go to behaviorism. I'm curious to see what's in there.
Absolutely, behaviorism it is, and the statement is: the principles of behaviorism are a net negative in humanity because they can be gamed and exploited by large corporations and enterprises which capitalize in the modal confusion of people and reinforce a consumerist attitude in people subconsciously. Would you like to go for or against this statement?
Oh man, I could go either way on this one. Oh no.
Absolutely. Take your time.
Ooh. I'm gonna go against it just for fun. I agree more with 4, but I'm gonna go against.
Absolutely, no problem. Just let me call in the dragon 1 second.
You got this.
Oh, we'll see.
All right, great. Here we go. Tell me what you got. How are you going to defend it? Or how are you going to go against it, I should say.
So, we're laying out that this idea of behaviorism is a net negative in humanity. Because in behaviorism, you're able to... It's kind of like you can game the human mind. You can create systems of reward and punishment or anything like that to get people into addictive cycles of like gambling. Gambling is a really specific scenario in which behaviorism is used to exploit people and take their money. Which, yes, that is a negative. However, the principles of behaviorism being rooted in reward punishment principles, you can use that in very positive ways as well. You can use it in positive ways, for instance, in training animals to do certain things, to be able to help accomplish certain tasks. We've done that with horses and dogs and all sorts of different animals to help that have helped shape human civilization, that have helped actually get us to where we are today in civilization with the kind of technology that we have. And so there's principles of behaviorism that have helped us get to where we are today technologically. And then secondarily, there are, using behaviorism, you can even use it for creating more positive relationships. And you can, you don't want to, you want to reward the behavior that you want to see. And then even in your relationships, you can do that. And it's not like a bad thing. You get a better relationship, and it's positive both ways, because you're getting the behavior that you want to see, and the other person's getting rewarded for it because you're rewarding them for that particular behavior. And so that has also played a part in shaping the course of human history and getting us to where we are today. So there's my argument against it being that negative.
I see, Chris. That's a wonderful argument. I really like it. It's very interesting. how about this? So, let me just summarize what you have said to be able to make sure that we are in the same page and I understanding your argument. You're saying that yes, well, behaviorism has some negative aspects to it, and the consumer sort of agenda of certain capitalists have ended up in certain type of negative things, but you can also use it for so many wonderful positive things, such as helping us also train animals in a way in which like it can be very useful for our society. But not only that, also in order to improve our own personality and our own what would you say, our own ability to be able to accomplish different tasks, not only personally but also communally with each other. Is that the argument that I understanding? Am I understanding it correctly?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Absolutely. Well, how about this? Uh, think of I grant you that the well, it has some positive aspects of course. There's very little that I can say against like be allowing us to be able to train animals in a more precise way. But well, I would say that perhaps wouldn't you say that humans have always done this type of reward punishment reward thing unconsciously or like just naturally without having to overanalyze it for millennia, ever since probably the human species existed. And so now that we have the actual theory and we have a way of understanding it more deeply, it gives a way to people be able to manipulate it and use it in ways that is not so good. Whereas before we used to just do it naturally. Say, for example, if you and I are in a relationship and then I do a behavior that is not good for our relationship, you will just punish me by not wanting to be my friend or wanting to do business with me or wanted to share a conversation together or whatnot. On the other hand, if I would have previous to having the theory of behaviorism, if I would have engaged in a behavior that you would have thought it was fruitful for our relationship, you would have rewarded me with even more attention and time and continue to build a very good friendship. And so there is a sense to an extent that over analyzing certain things and over investigating certain things gives way to people to be able to game whatever it is that we are overly understanding and then actually put it to not so great use, such as is the case of the consumerist agenda that we normally see nowadays in the more contemporary times, especially because you see how many people are I would say enslaved by different products that the same marketers like sell them, and a lot of the time people don't even realize that they're being manipulated in this way. Think about things such as so evil and so profoundly destructive, such as gambling, you said it yourself, or pornography, or for that matter, even like sugar and sweets and drugs and alcohol and anything, even just the idea of selling people that they're going to be happy with a material thing, that in itself it's evil to the core, wouldn't you say?
Yes, but I don't know that I would still say that it has been a net negative in humanity. And part of what I was hearing you saying, it sounded like well, it's been a net negative since we have discovered in the psychological world the principles of behaviorism, and that in knowing about the principles, then people are able to like take advantage of that and manipulate. They know better how to more consciously manipulate people rather than just doing things before we knew about it, like in like in writing, I guess you could say, or more formally,
Explicitly.
Yeah, more explicitly. Thank you. But that I think that's a different argument. I think if if we're talking about the principles of behaviorism as they have affected our world, not taking into consideration just like when we discovered them, because we have been using the principles of it since forever, as far as most likely naturally, as you've said. And so I think that we need to take that into consideration. It shouldn't be a matter of just, now that we've discovered it, it's this is bad, now it's net negative because we can abuse this idea of reward and punishment to make people addicted to all these different things. It's like, yeah, that we can do that, but in the grand scheme of things, and so I'm just trying to pull back and look at a bigger picture than what we currently have. And what we currently have, while there are bad things about it, there's still been a lot of good that has come out of behaviorism principles, and the fact that we were able to even recognize and talk about the bad of it, and more people are waking up to bad things of that, and like alcohol consumption has gone way down, and smoking's gone way down. Things that typically had made people feel better or anything like that. More and more people are recognizing the things that the principles of behaviorism have done to get people addicted to bad things. More and more it is being recognized as bad, and people are pulling away from that. And so I think even still, in the grand scheme of things, taking all history into consideration and into the ways that it has affected our history and technology and our understanding, I think still ultimately it's been a net positive.
I see. So basically what you're saying is that even though that, there's all of these bad things, the fact that we have this knowledge now explicitly not only gives way for us to be able to manipulate it, but also gives way for us to be able to understand it, and prevents us from even being subject to the manipulation, but also utilize it into good, fruitful things, because we already have the theory behind it, and so we can put it to good use in the things that are actually good if we so choose to. And that is a wonderfully good argument, Chris. I'm gonna give you that. I don't think I can say too much about this, so I think you really got me this time. So I'm gonna get you next time for sure. That's gonna be for sure.
Good job.
Thank you.
My guys, that was a wonderfully good sparring. I think the dragon took a good beating on that one. So tell me, Dena, how would you rate Chris's performance this time?
We're doing 1 to 5.
Between 0 to 5, yeah.
Yeah, I would say 5. Yeah, it was good. I was right there with you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And then Chris, tell me, how would you rate yourself?
I would probably give myself a 4. And that's mostly just coming out of, I probably could have structured certain things a little bit better, but other than that, I think I did pretty good. So I'm happy with myself, but I didn't do perfect. I think what was most funny in that though was I went into it thinking, I think I agree with this more than I disagree, but I'm going to go ahead and disagree. And then in doing so, I found, you know what? I think I disagree with this more, actually.
Yeah.
That was very well defended, I have to say. I think the dragon took a good beating on that one, absolutely. All right, Dena. Tell me, would you like to, you can pick either one of, you can even go for the same one that you picked at the first time, you can pick the same one that Chris did, or you can go completely new and go for the mystery of what psychoanalysis has to offer.
Yeah,
what would you like to go for?
Psychoanalysis.
Absolutely, psychoanalysis it is. And with that, Dena, the statement is, the implications of understanding the psyche as a dynamic and conscious battle between tribes is that the old pagan gods can be conceived as personalities that are living within every single one of us. To the extent that we don't recognize this, then these personalities have complete control over us. Would you like to go for or against this statement?
Oh, it's not where I thought this was going. Hmm.
I was worried in my earlier choice that I'm like, oh, I want to pick the not boring one, but both of these are definitely not boring.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't know enough about pagan gods to. Oh, that one. Oh. I'm gonna go against.
You gotta go against?
I'm not
Absolutely.
even sure why. It's pretty convincing.
Absolutely, it's up to you. You can both defend it or refute it. It's completely up to you. Whatever you feel more like aligns with your own, you'll go for. That's usually what people think. But it's completely up to you. Absolutely.
I'm gonna go for.
You're gonna go for? Absolutely. And so with that, let me just call in the dragon. 1 second, please.
I know nothing about pagans.
I don't know that you need to know anything about pagan gods to be able to argue for this. I think you could probably just use that, like, think of them as an abstract.
Yeah.
All right, Dena. How are you gonna defend this?
So, the dynamic unconscious, the battle between in our mind, it's from after we pass away and our mind is somewhere else.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
sorry.
if you allow me, I think what it's okay. No worries. I think what the statement is trying to get at is that think about it in the sense of how do I put this? There's Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty. There's Ares, the god of war. There's Thanatos, the god of like this war and control. There's Eros, the god of love, right? And then there's all of these different drives inside of us trying to compete to have the say on what is it that your body gets to act upon. And so like when we're not consciously things that want to come out and take control over our actions, then we are subject to their influence. But when we are aware that we have all of these different internal instincts, then we can recognize them and try to control them. So in that sense, like I think that's what the statement is trying to get at, if that helps.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely feel like there's a carnal being, like I'd say, within us. And I was going to bring up like the past, the other one that I did, where the soul and the mind are different. I imagine it as like the soul, like an old pagan god who stays with us, and we forget our mind, we forget in those things. So deep down somewhere, there's some way of life that is leading us into whatever we desire to go to. We don't consciously know, so we are unconsciously following these certain paths, like I don't know, like Poseidon, I don't know, like are we drawn to the sea and all these things, and we yearn for all these other things, and we don't know why, what we're doing them. So absolutely, I think that live within us.
I see. But then in that sense, would you say then that Is it necessarily for us to conceive this type of personalities as gods? I mean, like, can we just, like, I say, perhaps maybe just understand that, what if it's just a pure influence from culture that is just telling us, like, hey, you should act this way or should act this other way? What if it's, maybe like it is not so much that we are unconsciously producing great arts of literature and things like that in this type of like hero's journey that continues to appear, but it's more like that the hero's journey has been all over the place so much that it's just something that it just has stayed with us. It's just more like this type of feedback loop where we continue to put out works like that, and then we continue to kind of like accept them and continue to interiorize them and produce even more. Would you say that perhaps maybe there will be a better explanation for why all of these different personalities and different instincts like could just be conceived as something that basically culture is feeding us, and then we act upon those ideas?
Oh, possibly, but it's much more magical than that. Yeah, I would say that there's probably a dragon within all of us that's looking to come out, and maybe we try to recognize it in other things. So, to fit in or to be liked or part of the group or whatever. But in reality, if we just let it take control of us, the old pagan gods or whatever, or personalities, they can, they don't get lost in the mix. I don't know. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess one thing that you could say about like all of these pagan gods is that they don't really have that much of a morality. Like when you think about it, say like the Greek gods, like they are
They're hedonistic. And
you would say like it's something very interesting how like for example Zeus himself is just like all the time trying to cheat on Hera, his wife, and like there's not so much of a morality to any of these like different gods, but there is something very powerful about like their the idea of them as well, because like obviously Zeus, like it's like this idea of authority and imposition and hierarchy over other gods and over everything else, but then at the same time because it doesn't have a type of morality, if something like that were to take over, which I think I would argue sometimes maybe this is the case that always of what always happens in society. Maybe it's not so much that whether we're aware of it or not, it doesn't have so much of a impact, because it continues to happen that authority continues to get abused, and all of these different things continue to happen. So why would we even say, like, even if it were the case that all of these gods exist inside of us, like why would we assume that just by recognizing them we would be able to control them?
I don't think that we could. Recognizing them, maybe we would just interfere with whatever plans that they have. Our minds would get in the way of whatever they're taking us to, whether it be good or bad or whatever.
I see. So then maybe perhaps what you're saying is that perhaps the idea of the soul will come in and judge whether an action is right or wrong, and then it'll be able to tell you like, hey, perhaps this sort of action that your instinct is trying to tell you to go for, perhaps is not the right decision, and then that's maybe you should feel a little bit guilty about following one or the other path instead of actually stopping and considering and acknowledging and trying to choose wisely, so to speak. Is that what I'm hearing you're trying to argue?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that was very good. I think you got me this time. I'm gonna get you next time for sure.
We're in the mythological world here, so.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dena. And with that, Chris, tell me, how would you rate Dena in this performance?
I'll give her a 4. She did better. She did good.
Absolutely, absolutely. A 4 it is. And Dina, tell me, how would you rate yourself in this performance?
Maybe a 3.
At 3. Okay, absolutely. And with that, we're heading back to Chris for the last one. Chris.
But I get the idea. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do. I also want to do psychoanalysis, so we'll go into there.
I was hoping you would.
Absolutely. Can you guys hear me now? I'm so
Yes, there
sorry
you
about that.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I don't know what's going on with my equipment today, man. Everything is failing today. Jeez, Louise.
Nah, we're good.
Yeah,
You're
that's
good.
all right.
Thank you so much, guys. Absolutely. And so with that, we're gonna go with psychoanalysis, Chris. Here we go. You know the statement, the implications of understanding the psyche as a dynamic and conscious battle between tribes is that the old pagan gods can be conceived as personalities that are living within every single one of them. To the extent that we don't recognize this, then these personalities have complete control. How would you like to?
I'm gonna go. Oh man, this is something I was trying to figure out. I'm like, would I argue for this, or would I go against this? And I want to lean against, actually. And so I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to argue
Absolutely.
against this.
Absolutely. Just let me call in the dragon. 1 second, please.
Good luck. You got your shield.
Yeah.
All right. Tell me what you got, Chris. How are you going to go against this argument?
So, I think I would start in arguing against this idea with, it's like, okay, so it's trying to make a case that these personalities, like, you know, these ideas, personalities, whatever you want to call them, the pagan gods, being at war within ourselves. And I disagree with the idea that if we're completely unaware of it, that they would have complete control over us. Because, and I say this coming out of a place of like, well, you don't necessarily need to have like this full conscious recognition of a thing for that thing to not affect you. And so that's I guess that's really kind of the crux of my argument is there. So maybe I can give like an example. So it's hard to, well, first of all, it's hard to talk about what I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. To the extent that what I don't know affects me, well, I'm unaware of that. And does that mean it affects me though? Maybe in certain cases, yeah, that you could maybe, but who's to say that it does? Because I don't. There's things out there I don't know, and there's so why does it like so? Okay, maybe I don't know about this thing that exists 2 million miles away from the Earth. Maybe there's like some space dust out there. I'm not consciously aware of it. Why should that have any effect on me? It probably doesn't. Most likely doesn't. Or to the extent that it does, it's not like it has any real meaningful impact on me. Okay, there you go.
I see. So let me see. What I'm hearing from your argument is that, well, if we like the problem that you have with this statement is not so much that you don't recognize that perhaps there's all of these different personalities fighting for control inside of us, but then you're saying like, well, how can we actually determine if something that we don't know about is actually has complete control over us, can actually affect us in a deep way, because if you think about it in the sense of the nocebo effect, for example, once we're made aware of something that can be harmful to us, then we can be more susceptible to be actually negatively impacted by it. Is that sort of almost how you're framing it?
Yeah, you could kind of frame it like that, but I would even add, like, so even there are instances where even when we probably do know about something, like the placebo effect, if you know about the placebo effect and perhaps you are taking a placebo for something, it ends up still working, and or it can end up still working. And so it's like there's this idea of even even in having knowledge about a thing, where in that knowledge you should know, oh well, this thing shouldn't actually have any real effect, but then it does. And so, as contrast to, or not necessarily contrast, but so in pairing with that, in what you don't know doesn't mean that it is going to have an effect on you.
I see. Well, I see that you're trying to approach this from the more, let's say, kind of like epistemological
Yeah.
side of things. Like, to what extent do things that we know actually have an effect on us, and things that we don't know don't have an effect on us? But like, how about it would be all fine and dandy if we were to consider it from the point of view of, say, an idealist, in the sense that, well, our mind is actually the actual thing ultimately what that is imposing meaning in the world. But we know that to a certain extent, while that might be partially correct, we know that there's also a material objective world out there that actually also, we get feedback from, right? And so to the extent that you and me share qualities that actually I cannot impose on you, my qualities that you cannot impose on me, the qualities that your mind is producing, we share a type of objective reality between like your experience as a human and my experience as a human. And so in that sense, we could say that all of these different drives, these instincts to not, go the extra mile and try to talk about it as like all of these different type of archetypes or gods. If you just understand it purely biologically as well and evolutionarily, you would say like perhaps the instinct of rage, for example, or like aggression would have evolved for a specific reason. But the problem is as well that the instinct is already inside of you and me. And while might not be aware of it, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years of evolution would have taught us that it's okay to be aggressive whenever you find yourself cornered, when you find yourself in a situation when it's perhaps not that good, not that comfortable for you, because that's one of the mechanisms of survival that we can engage to be able to save ourselves. But then the problem is obviously that in a civilized society, not all the time, whenever we feel threatened, aggression is the right mode of action, is the right action to take. So to the extent that yes, perhaps the instinct evolved for a reason, and it's also perhaps quite useful in certain specific situations, if we allow it to always run whenever we have a default setting, then it might actually end up being worse whenever it's acting out of place, rather than actually, understanding how to recognizing that we have this instinct in us, and then putting control on it so that we can utilize it just in the right instances and not in the ones that are going to be detrimental for us, wouldn't you say?
I think there is a good point you're making in that. I think how I would respond to that is that in if I'm angry, in order to not let that anger control me. Or in other words, in order for me to be more in control of my anger, is my control over that reliant on how well I understand the unconscious battle of my drives, or the pagan gods and the personalities that are living within me? How reliant on my control is that understanding? Because I would say that you could be someone, and perhaps this is something for people who don't have this sort of understanding, but perhaps that over time, and for however their environment has shaped them, however their ego has been constructed over time, through their culture, through their family, um, whatever it may be, through their religion, perhaps that in how that has been constructed, that has been what has given them the control over things like anger. So it's like, like, take someone who follows a religion that says, like, don't be wrathful, don't be angry. It is against the religion to be angry. And so in having come up with that, they'll have an understanding of what anger is, and when it comes up in them, and they'll recognize that, and they can go, no, my religion is against anger, I know I shouldn't be angry. And they'll have recognition over the anger. So the question is that the same thing? Is the recognition of the emotion the understanding of this unconscious battle? Is that the same thing? Or is just being able to recognize emotions within us, and then in that recognition of the emotions themselves, that we're able to control them? Is there a difference there?
I see, I see. So what you're saying basically is that, well, do we necessarily need to understand this as this type of gods that have or instincts that have control over us, and recognize them to be able to have control over them, to be able to direct them properly? Or is it that more that there's this super ego that's informing the ego, like society, so to speak, or religion, like institutions, that is informing the ego on how to constrain all of these instincts, and then we don't necessarily need to explicitly say, oh, recognize that you have, for example, the god of anger inside of you, so that you can try to look internally and do that. It's good enough for me to tell you, like, it's not good to act in an angry way. Don't act in an angry way. This is not socially acceptable. Just don't do it, and then you'll be able to just get over it. And to that, I would say that it's very much aligned with like Freud's model. But then also at the same time, I think while he modeled it in that way, I think that he would also say that perhaps the goal really of the genuine individual would be to break free from that, like, sort of necessity of the superego continually always like telling the ego what to do. And so but also to an extent, because I can recognize in your argument that you're also saying, like, well, also, do we have to like completely what would you say, study these things to be able to change our behavior? Or can we simply just, like, through trial and error, and like through failures and successes, start having a record on how to also orient ourselves properly, not necessarily having to like intellectualize everything so much, but rather just through experience learn how to continue to move forward? And I can see how that could perhaps be the case. But wouldn't you say that in the same way that we were talking about, for example, in the case of behaviorism not long ago, that being able to have a theory explicitly about something actually gives us also power on how to be able to come up with better strategies to be able to utilize it in the most appropriate way? Because I mean, while perhaps it is the case that we can probably learn from our mistakes and learn, like through experience, we'll be able to continue to mold our ego, so to speak, to put it in Freudian terms. it feels to me that it's also it would be a very exhaustive and like very slow process, which a lot of like mistakes would have to be done on the way. Whereas if like I am able to just explain to you this sort of like theory of the unconscious and tell you like, well, I'm not going to just let you go out and make all of these mistakes in the world. I'm going to tell you there's all of this plethora of different archetypes that you should keep a track on. And then maybe what you should do is try to point towards the more the more appropriate way in which each one of these archetypes is actually developed, and don't go on the way in which the archetype perhaps falls. And then you can like try to meditate on it and try to embody these type of archetypes as you go through life, even though obviously you're going to make mistakes, but perhaps you're going to make way fewer mistakes, and perhaps also being able to see all of these archetypes in different stories and culture and like movies, cinema, books and stuff like that. It's different stories that we tell each other around the fireplace will be able to perhaps give me a way in which I can experience something without having to completely run the risk of failing. I can just run it in my imagination through this imaginal world that I can build upon myself in my inside of my mind, and then I can like completely circumvent the whole having to experience that type of fall if I can recognize it beforehand. Wouldn't you say that that's a fair thing to say?
I do think there is something there. I don't fully know. I can't say I fully know. But I would say that is somewhat divergent from the argument about whether or not that in recognition of these things, that in not recognizing them, they would have complete control over us. And so I would still stick to my point that it isn't that it's necessary to have better understanding in all of these things and to have those stories to avoid having them control us. But I do think you do have a good point in that they can help facilitate us in learning to not let them control us. But I don't think I would concede that is completely necessary to avoid being controlled by them.
I see. So you're basically also just trying to point out at the fact that the statement is actually saying like, well, if you don't recognize that you have absolutely no control and they have complete control over you, and you're saying like, not necessarily, because not knowing about something doesn't necessarily concede that it has control over me. In fact, it can actually be that perhaps even the less control it has over me because I don't really fully have knowledge of it. And I think that is a very good argument, Chris. I think you got me this time, but I'm gonna get you next time for sure. All right, that was wonderful. Very, very good job, sir.
Thank you.
That was wonderful. So, Dena, tell me, how would you rate Chris's performance this time?
I would say 4.
4, absolutely. And how about you, Chris? How would you rate your performance?
I agree. I think it was a 4.
Absolutely. That sounds amazing. And so with that, we have come to the end of the game. The final score, we got Dena 18 points, and Chris, you got 26 points in this very good performance today. Absolutely.
Good job, Chris.
Thank you.
Right now, you're actually, that puts you in very first place. Right now, we're already kind of culminating the first round of games for the part 1 of all the courses. But then you guys will have many more opportunities to keep coming back, keep fighting to rack up your points and be able to claim the crown of the Philosopher King of PA. Absolutely, and absolutely the prize as well. And so
those dragons.
And keep beating up those dragons. Absolutely, that dragon needs like a little bit beating for sure. And so here your name will appear in here, and that will be obviously at least for now until next time, for sure. But for now, you are absolutely have claimed the crown as the king of PA for this match, and I thank you so much, guys, for joining me today in this game, for your time and effort and everything, and I hope to see you guys again soon for sure for the next ones.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This was
Thank
wonderful.
you very much.
Thank you, guys.